Hello, everyone, and welcome to Moonride. This is Dave Johnson. I am channeling today. I'm going to talk about some political topics, particularly Hunter Biden. I just want to take a look and see how that trial is going to go. I don't know about you, but I find it all very suspicious that he had this great deal, and after Trump is prosecuted, now he is also getting prosecuted. I just want to see how that trial goes, and let's agree, Hunter Biden made some significant mistakes, but, you know, how many people have children with addictions who have made mistakes and they're not going to jail? Let's take a look at that. I also really want to recommend everybody take a look at Nature's Narrative, the V group, where I've been doing some trance channeling with a wonderful group of people. I'll put the link right above us. I think that's the right side, but I always get it wrong. It's one of these sides. There should be a link. Let's take a look at Hunter Biden. And I want to know how the trials go. hmm And just let everybody know, my readings are kind of changing. The way that it used to work, it is not the same. Just to encourage all y'all, as you're learning how to do this, the way you channel might change a little bit. Here, it's almost like things are opening up to the sky. So there's Hunter. It does have a feeling of like exposure, like anything could come and get him. But then again, it's almost like a connection to universe too. hmm There's a bit of sadness for Hunter. Remember that these people, all of them, whoever they are, even if they're, January 6th people, they are human beings, and there are, good sides to them. And as I look at him, I see a lot of sadness, just sort of a heartbreaking sadness that you can imagine. I think he had many people in his family die, and there is certainly a remorse going on. And I should say more a sad sort of nostalgia. But I also feel a little bit hopeful that Hunter is drawing on sort of new resources. It's like somebody's showing him the light. And it's like a ball of light that Hunter has. I just feel in his psyche, his personality, something shifted for Hunter, or it will, that he will find a new sort of a spiritual resource, that he's found some good in the universe. And that's a great example for many people who are really depressed and sad right now, that you could go through this and come out the other end with a better attachment to the light and a new determination to live. That's another thing that I think it's just when people are doing these really self-destructive things, they're just kind of tempting fate. They're just saying, "Hey, you want to check me out now?" And they're sort of halfway and halfway in and halfway out of life. That's Hunter, or that was Hunter. It seems to be resolved in moving forward, and I got to give his dad credit for being a good dad, because he isn't the finger wagging dad. He really does care about his son. And it's, President Biden also knew that this was a likely case scenario when he ran, that the Republicans would retaliate against his kid. And it's a question of duty. Do I have a duty to America or a duty to my son? Okay, we're entering the courtroom now. It's really heavy and serious. There are sympathetic people in the jury, specifically some women who are there sitting in a jury box, and they take a look at Hunter and they just have sympathy for him. He's, they just, who would look at the story of the life of Hunter Biden and not have sympathy for the things that have happened to him? There are certainly people on the jury who have contempt for him, and they're angry at him because he's a rich kid and he kind of had it easy, maybe really had it easy in a financial sense. So they're looking at him in two different ways, and I think this is symbolic of America. There is a whole body of people that will see him as a human, a flawed person who experienced some bad things and made some terrible mistakes. And then there are people who are like, he's a spoiled brat. Why, I should have a job like that. If I were rich, I would be really, really, really rich and had a great job. And it's both. There is some persuasion going on. The people who are critical of Biden are loosening up a bit. Keep in mind that the people who are supporting Biden are a little bit hardening a bit. So they're kind of coming to an agreement, which I think is a good thing. It's very thoughtful. There are a lot of things to think about in regard to this. There are many factors. Oh, we're getting to his laptop. We're opening up a laptop, and I'm guessing that it's Hunter's. And they're just showing the information on the laptop. And it's like, you know, there's nothing in that laptop. It really has there's nothing in it. I mean, there's nothing interesting, nothing we don't already know. That, some things are worded in such a way that it looks a little bit like corruption, but just barely. All of those things really could be perfectly innocent. My dad sitting next to me is not necessarily a threat. It could just mean, hey, my dad's sitting here next to me. If another person said that, it wouldn't appear corrupt. So it's just not very compelling, and it's not very clear that anybody's done anything wrong, at least on the laptop. Let's take a look at what other things there are. Again, I find him to be a sympathetic character when he is on the witness stand, and I do believe he will go on the witness stand. Well, we can think of a lot of people who won't, so you can have more sympathy for him than another. As he sits on the witness stand, he's very compelling. He seems like a person who's reformed. He's admitted his mistakes. He doesn't want to, he doesn't appear to want to say that he never did anything wrong. And that is kind of, again, evening out the jury. Both halves are being just kind of realistic and, well, if this were my kid, what would I do? Or if this were another person, would I condemn them? His testimony will be very compelling, and it doesn't make the prosecutor look very good. The prosecutor just looks like kind of mean, and one assumes that he didn't do the right thing with his tax returns, although I know they've been paid. They were paid also with fines. But there are a few things there that are just like, hey, whoa, that is pretty much a lie. But, that's 30% of people who file their taxes are not being totally honest, are they? Or they have a way that they get away with things, and it's legal but not fair. So there's just that kind of, some of the people in the jury are like, well, I would do that if I had the money. I'd write that one off. Not necessarily thinking that it's right, but they're also thinking, like, on the scale of 1 to 10 of what people do wrong, this is a 3, and maybe a 4, right? Tops. So I'm going to go back to 3 actually. So it's it seems really quite important, actually, the jury and the jury selection. And by that I don't mean they should pick a bunch of lefties. I think the juries, if it's fair, it will actually be better for the American people, because he shouldn't get off scot-free. It is the case that he did something wrong. But I just get a reasonably minor punishment, like it's sort of like a misdemeanor or maybe a couple of misdemeanors. It's serious. It's a punishment. There looks like it's going to be, I'm seeing the judge, and he's not going to go to jail. Let's just put it that way, because I actually see him with cuffs on and the sheriff being told to take them off. And Judge is again kind of nonplussed. He's just like all the things that I've seen in the past 5 years of, the crimes that I've seen in my life on the bench. This is one where, sometimes people, when they're sort of higher class, they actually deserve a little bit more of a punishment because they had all the opportunities and chances. There's lots of people who've had really difficult lives, who are poor, who never commit crimes. So, it is a little bit kind of like, well, yeah, but it's also, certain, if you punish a middle class person, they won't do it again. If you punish a really poor person, they might do it again because they might not have any choice or they might not have a way out. A middle class person, it's almost like, you really ought to, you don't have so many excuses to do that. I guess I'd say the punishment is more effective for richer people. It's not fair, but it is more effective at stopping something because the wealthy and middle class, they do have more choices, and that's a little bit what the judge is thinking. I see. It might be two judges because I first saw a man and now I see a woman, but I think the male judge is more primary. I'm not sure. It's almost like there's a judge in the background, so maybe there's some kind of an appeal or something. But the principal judge that I see does appear to be male, and he's wearing some glasses that are on a chain, by at least in my vision here. And the judge is turning to the right, and he's going, "Look, these are all the possible charges." And the judge is instructing them, this is how you should decide that. And what I do appreciate about this jury is they're taking it quite seriously. They are trying to be fair. I, for one, am sick and tired of being told that all of the jury that we don't know are all liars. This is just not acceptable. It is the case occasionally that jurors make mistakes. But to say that all of the juries in all of these cases are all lying is un-American, frankly. We have a justice system which often works. So showing the list, and I would say maybe a quarter of the things on the list they have found that he is guilty of. And they're kind of considering the optics. Like, what's it going to look like if he's in jail? Is it gonna look vindictive on the part of the right? Is it gonna look just straight up mean? The judge is also thinking, is it, we don't want to let him off. What's a fair punishment? And so I do feel confident that it's fair, that the judge again is considering all these things right and left and going for the middle. This is a pretty tough job for a judge. Okay, and now there's a lady. I don't know why the judge is switching genders, but okay. Or maybe it's even just Lady Justice. It's fair. I see very balanced. So what's going to happen to Hunter? What's the punishment? Lots of community service, maybe for 6 months. But, in some ways, this is not the worst punishment for him. I think it is actually inspiring him to go a little further in his self-awareness. Hunter seems a little bit more closer to spirit as I look at him. He seems to have kind of crossed the street, as it were, into a better place. And one thing again, very nice, is it is a lot about his father's love. I don't think that he could have made it without his father and that kind of love and caring. And this is a great message, I think, for the American people, that at least Biden's a good dad, right? And at the very least, I don't agree with everything he does, but on the fundamental level, he is a human being that cares about other human beings. Is there anything more for Hunter? Yeah, I think that is the most important thing of this is that Hunter is transformed, and Senior Biden appears to be a very decent fellow. Again, I'm not endorsing other all of the things that he has done, but American people will perceive him only as being a good dad. So, in a sense, this is all going to backfire on the Republicans. They've tried to put this out as a sort of blackmail thing, and Biden didn't go for it. Biden did the right thing and let justice proceed. And a lot of people will notice that. I think the result might be unpleasantness for Hunter. He may be very, very stressed out and sad about this, but there's always that mess like, hey, man, this is what happens when you just go crazy like that. That's a lesson that he needed to learn. That there are consequences, even when you're done being a drug addict, there are consequences for those years and for taking advantage. And it's a good thing. He will evolve in a way. He won't go to jail. And some people will perceive this as as an over the top response for reasonably minor crimes. I mean, did anybody get hurt here? No. He didn't pay his taxes on time, and he wasn't honest about that entirely. Again, if only we had a government where everybody paid the taxes they owed, all of us would be paying half taxes if that is correct. We would not be paying nearly the taxes we paid if powerful people paid what they owe. It seems very much actually in a balanced response. And I think that is what we should hope for, is a balanced and honest and fair response to this situation of a person from a privileged background who really would not be prosecuted in this way without the political aspects. Thanks so much for watching.